All right, we are recording. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for being on the webinar. It's a pleasure to be here, and just to give you guys manage the expectations. I don't think this will go longer than about 30 minutes. I'm going to try and add as much value as I possibly can as quickly as possible, but I want to just do a few housekeeping rules. If you're on here, I've muted everybody out, but if you've dialed in, I don't have the ability to mute you out. So if you could just mute your phone, which I think most of you have already done, and I appreciate that, just so that we don't disturb the recording or have any background noise. So let me go ahead and pull up some slides really quick. Give me just a moment, and we will go ahead and get started. All right. Let me get this pulled up. So I want to go ahead and just explain to you kind of why I put this webinar together. I have been in childcare myself for about a year and a half. I own a pretty large center just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. We have 150 just awesome kids. I love the industry. I have a deep passion, not just for the children, but I've always loved to help people. Before I got into childcare, I spent over a decade marketing, driving traffic, building large sales teams. And so, it really doesn't matter what type of business it is. I at least have a really good understanding of the marketing aspect of it. And so actually I moved to the next slide. So when I purchased my daycare about a year and a half ago, we had about 100 kids there, and within about 45 days, we were maxed out. And today we have a waiting list of almost a year for pretty much every age group. And I don't say that to brag. I share this with you because I want you to understand what I'm going to share with you guys today. If you implement, whether you have an in-home daycare, whether you have a center, whether you have an in-home daycare and you want to own a center one day, I feel like you really understand what I'm going to teach you today. You should be maxed out relatively shortly. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, marketing for childcare is not that complicated. Number two, and this is what I've noticed, a lot of people, I didn't realize until I got into childcare how many people just don't really understand marketing. And it's not their fault. Obviously, a lot of us, a lot of you guys maybe even come from childcare backgrounds, right? Like you're used to, watching kids or running a center, but then, obviously you open up your own center or childcare. Now you have to be a business owner and a marketer, and there's like so many hats that you have to wear. And so, it was just really crazy when I got into childcare and I started mentoring other people in the industry. I started seeing their websites weren't great and they had no marketing plan. They didn't have any idea. They were just kind of winging it. And, after mentoring a lot of people, I started to realize, I'm like, man, I could really help some of these people that are really trying to make a living in childcare because it's not that difficult. And so two of my really good friends, who those of you on this webinar, you may not know who they are David and Nikki. Nikki, I know really well because she is just fantastic at building websites for daycares. And so me and her built a great relationship. I've referred her customers, but I want you guys all to understand that are watching this. I am in childcare. I don't have anything that I'm going to sell you guys after this is over, or anything like that. Like, I'm actually just doing this webinar because I want to add value and I want to help people. And I know what it's like to run a business that you're not making any money. I've been there, done that. I've owned a restaurant. I've been in several businesses, and it's not a fun place to be when you're not making really great money, especially in childcare, because it can be stressful. There's a lot of demands. There's a lot that you have to deal with every single day. And so to do it, even if you're passionate about it and not make a really good living doing it, or if you're running a center or an in-home and you're not maxed out, I wanted to do this for you guys. So my background, like I kind of covered a little bit, I own a daycare just outside of Nashville called the Gingerbread House. And it's a wonderful place. I love doing it. I have a sales and marketing background over 10 years. Everything you can imagine, marketing, pretty much anything. I've always fallen in love with whatever you're going to offer, how do you get a lot of people to be interested in it? And I just have a love for marketing and sales. And then I'm also the host of the Mentor Nation podcast, which if any of you guys listen to podcasts, you can definitely check that out. Every week I interview world-class people that have built huge businesses and just to give great insights to the audience. And then I am a father also of 3 amazing daughters, 11, 9, and 3. And so I love doing all of those things. So let's talk about why marketing is important. So, and a lot of this is bullet points. You probably already know this. And at the end, we're going to do a little bit of Q&A, but even though this is self-explanatory, I want to read it. The number one reason marketing is important, especially for childcare, is you want to achieve and maintain full enrollment, not because you got lucky. You want to have full enrollment always because you have a system for it, because and you have processes in place so that you're full and you have a waiting list. I was doing a coaching call the other day with someone that owned a center, and it's the worst thing in the world when you see somebody and they're running a business and they have kids that are out of control, but they need the money so bad that they can't tell the parent, hey, your child either needs to get right or you guys are not welcome here anymore. They're not able to do that because they need every dollar. And so marketing, there's so many benefits to understanding marketing. The next one is creating enough profit so that it gives you options and a cushion in case something happens, or maybe you want to expand or an opportunity comes up, and maybe you want to open your first actual real center or a school, or you want to give back. There's a lot of things that you can do. You can be a huge blessing to others if you are always full and you're making great money. The next thing is allow you to eventually, if you're not already, work on your business instead of in it. This was a huge lesson I had to learn a long time ago. The first time I learned this lesson was when I owned a restaurant. I was there all the time. I was everything to everybody. I was doing every single job. And I remember having a conversation with a mentor of mine. And this is what he said to me, and it woke me up. He said to me, John, you are not a business owner. You are a business operator. And I was like, what do you mean? So Joe said, I don't have sound. Well, let me actually just message her really quick. It is being recorded, but there should be an audio button on the bottom. Okay. So I just remember having that conversation, and he said to me, John, you are not a business owner, you're an operator. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, business owners need to work on their business, not just in their business all the time. And he's like, it's okay to be an operator, but your end goal should be to be an owner. And an owner is somebody that can work on the big picture things and have the right systems, processes, and staff in place to be able to handle the day-to-day. And he's like, that should always, always, always be your goal. And so, another thing that marketing is so important for is just understanding how, when you're full, you can spend more time working on your business. And then the last one is, if you understand marketing, you can scale and open up other locations and fill them up quickly. Maybe you have one in-home daycare right now and you are full, but maybe you're full because there's a lot of demand in your area. Maybe the prices are cheap. There's a million factors. But if you understand marketing, you can open up as many locations. You can literally, somebody can drop you in the middle of Texas and you can fill your center up, no problems. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that. Okay. So effective marketing essentially has 2 components. Number 1, mindset, and number 2, strategy. Now I have got to cover mindset for just a minute because I promise you this, 95% of the reason people fail in business is not strategy, it's not having the right mindset. And I'm not going to cover a lot of mindset. This is a marketing webinar, but I have to cover it for just 1 minute because I promise you, you must believe that you deserve a full business with a huge waiting list. You have to expect it. You have to believe above anything else that you absolutely deserve it. Because when you really understand that you deserve success, just like confidence, you'll have an aura of confidence that you can't even imagine. So it's so important that you get your mind right and you understand that you have to expect that you're going to have a full center. And I'm going to share a quick story with you before we get on, because this is something that changed my life years ago. And this is a story I want to share with you. Now, keep in mind, this is not a true story or a real circumstance that happened. The actual story is to illustrate a point, and a mentor of mine shared this with me and it changed my life. This was probably 10 years ago, and I was struggling in my business. And I was like, man, if I just had the right tools, if I just had the right strategy, if I just had the right, resources, then I would be successful. And this is what he said to me. He said, John, it's never, ever a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness. And resourcefulness comes from having the right mindset, the right reason why you have to succeed. And this is what he said to me. He said, John, let me tell you a story. And I'm going to share this story with you guys. He said to me, there was once this guy that was trying to lose weight. He weighed about 600 pounds, and he was in his early 40s, and everything that he did, no matter what he tried, it just wouldn't work. He tried every diet. He tried eating right. He tried exercising. And even though he worked hard, he could never lose more than about 20, 30 pounds. And when you're 600 pounds, that's not going to make a huge difference. And, finally, after struggling with weight for almost 15 years of being that overweight, he finally just realized, he's like, you know what? I just don't think it's possible for me to lose weight. Maybe it's my metabolism. Maybe it's my genetics. I just don't think it's possible unless I go have some surgery. One night, him and his family were out having dinner, him and his wife and his 2 daughters. And his oldest daughter, she passed out at the restaurant, just passed out, literally collapsed from the table. And the parents freaked out. They called an ambulance right away. Ambulance came. The parents rushed to the hospital behind the ambulance. They were in the waiting room for about an hour, and it felt like 5 years. Obviously, if you're parents, you know what I mean. And the doctor came out, and he's like, okay, listen, don't worry. She's okay. She's stable, but we have a problem. And the parents' heart sank. The dad was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what am I going to do? And the doctor's like, her kidneys shut down. She's on dialysis, but she's going to need a transplant. And so the dad started thinking a minute, and he's like, oh my God, how can her kidneys shut down? She's barely, 11, 12 years old. And after thinking about it for a minute, the dad was like, look, I'll be the donor. Like, whatever I have to do, like, I'll be the donor. I'm your father. Like, let me do it. And the doctor's like, okay, we'll do some workups and we'll see if it's possible. The doctors, they did some workups. They took some blood. They did a few tests, and they came back a few days later. And the doctor's like, well, your kidney is a match. We can use your kidney, but there is a big problem. And the dad's like, what do you mean? Like, what's the problem? He's like, well, because of your weight, the surgery is too risky and we can't take that risk. There's just no way we can do the surgery. I'm sorry. And this is what the dad said. The dad said, wait, what do you mean? He's like, how can I be the donor? Like, how much weight do I need to lose? Like, how much time do I have? And the doctor's like, well, you would need to lose about 300 pounds, and you would need to do it in the next 4 to 5 months if you want us to be able to do this surgery. And here's the moral of the story. And I always ask audiences this anytime I speak. Do you think the father lost the weight so that he could have that surgery? And every time everybody raises their hand and they're always like, absolutely, absolutely, yes, yes. And see, this is what my mentor shared with me. He said, John, if you can realize why he lost the weight that time, instead of all the other times that he thought he couldn't do it, you will understand how to be successful in anything that you do in life. And I share this story with you because I want you to understand it's never, how do I fill my daycare? How do I get more kids? It's always up here. If you have a big enough reason why and you're determined, you will get it done. And so a lot of us, we think it's strategy that we need to focus on, but a lot of time it's just mindset. So I want you guys to understand that. I hope that story helps some of you, or at least, illustrated a point. So let's get into strategy. Now, obviously, this is self-explanatory. Hoping is not a strategy. Praying is not a strategy. Wishing is not a strategy. Let's get into it. So it does not matter what type of daycare or childcare you own. I want you to understand this. In marketing, there is short game and there is long game. There are things that you can do now to fill up your enrollment, and there are things that you need to do now, but don't expect to get results right now from it. You're basically building a foundation. Now, you should be doing both all the time. So let's talk about the short game first off. Number one, paid ads. Now, I am fully aware that there are people on here that have a small in-home daycare with 4, 5, 6, 8, 12 kids. It's okay. You don't have to do everything that I'm talking about, but I'm going to talk about some things here in a minute. So the first one is just paid ads. Google, Facebook. Those are two great places. Why? Because Facebook has billions of people searching for things every day, and Facebook has 2.5 billion people on there all the time. Chances are 95% of everyone in your city is on Facebook, and 100%, almost 100% of people in your city is searching for something on Google at some point each and every single week. And so if everybody lives somewhere and you're going to spend money, it's good to spend money where everybody's already going to be. And we'll get into paid ads here in just a minute. Now, some of you are like, well, man, I don't have any money to pay for ads. That's okay. It's just one method of marketing that we're going to go into more detail. Second, strategic partnerships. This is one of the first things that I did when I purchased my daycare is I'm like, okay, I want children. And I need to form partnerships above and beyond all the other marketing that I'm going to do. I need to start thinking about, okay, where else does my perfect customer go? What else are they doing? Where else, like it's children, right? So where do parents take their kids? Where do parents, spend their money, spend their time? I need to form partnerships with those other businesses so that we can refer each other business. And I just gave you a few examples, but it's not the examples that's important if you're watching this webinar. You've got to think strategically. Where are your customers going? The kids that are in your in-home daycare or your center right now, where else would their parents take them? Is there any children's dentist nearby? Are there any party places, places that host like parties, like, here in where I live, we have like trampoline parks and things like that. I started thinking, I made a list of everybody I could think of, or every place that I could think of where kids would go. And I wanted to make sure at least I had that business owner on my list so that I could have a conversation, form a strategic partnership. We could refer each other business. Hey, I'll carry your flyers. Look, if you don't have a referral partner for a daycare or an in-home daycare, look, let me be that person for you. Let me be that person. I'll refer you business. Please do me a favor. If the opportunity comes up, refer me business. Let's work together. Let's form a partnership. Kids, barbers, partnerships with other daycares. This is one a lot of people don't think about. A lot of times daycares have a waiting list. Don't be afraid and don't look at other daycares like competition. They'll only look at you like competition if you look at them like competition. I have so many great friendships with other daycare owners in my area. I don't look at them like competition. I look at them like, look, let's all work together and let's make childcare awesome in our city. Let's do the best job. Let's act as a team. And so don't be afraid to reach out to other daycares and say, hey, listen, let's form a partnership. If I have an in-home daycare and if I'm full, I will refer you, any overflow. If anybody comes to me and I can't take them, I'll refer you. You can be my exclusive partner. And would you mind doing the same for me? Let's reciprocate business to each other. Guys, it's so simple of a strategy if you're just willing to get out of your comfort zone and start thinking of who can you form a strategic partnership with. The next thing for short game, this is all short game. These are things that you can do now. You can do some paid ads, which we're going to talk about. You can do strategic partnerships. The next thing is promotions, okay? Referral discounts. Actually, I wanted to show you guys something. Let me see if I can find it. I want to show you guys a picture really quick. And don't worry, I'm going to give you guys a website here at the end of this webinar that will show you this picture. Any resource that I talk about, I'm going to have on the webinar. Let me just try to pull this up really quick. So this is a really good one I saw right here. Let me see if I can, let me get my video working. I just want to show you guys if you're watching. So this right here is like a referral card. And I have a friend that's a daycare owner, and you don't worry if you can't see it. I'm going to post it on the website. I'll give you the resource. But it's like, it looks like a little business card. And it's the coolest thing, and I'm going to read it. It says, this card is redeemable for $100 tuition credit upon enrollment. And so what happens is this lady gives these cards to all of the parents of the kids in her center. And she writes the parent's name on the bottom of the card in ink. And she's like, hey, listen, Maria, here's 15 cards. Would you mind just giving these out if an opportunity comes? I'm looking to enroll a few kids in my daycare. If anybody brings this card to me, I will give them a small discount, and I'll give you $100 tuition credit for bringing the referral. It's not just asking parents for referrals. Hey, if you know anybody, it's getting creative, giving them the cards, allowing them, again, I'll post that, but referral discounts are really awesome. Contests, giveaways, there's all kinds of things that you can do. And the best place to start if you want referrals is with the parents of the children that are already in your location or staff. The best place to start. And then D, last one, short game, is networking. And networking is something that it takes time to learn how to do it well, especially if you're super, super busy. And I don't mean spend all day networking with people, but here's what I mean. It goes back to strategic partnerships. It's just a mindset. Networking is a mindset. It's like, you know what, who can I add value to today that could benefit my business tomorrow? And I don't mean being sleazy about it. What I mean is who can you help in today that they'll remember you when the time comes? Okay. Another thing that's really great with networking is Facebook groups, local Facebook communities. Chances are, it doesn't matter what city you live in, there's some local city group on Facebook where people are selling things or promoting themselves. Every city I've ever lived in, there is like a local group. I live in Franklin, Tennessee. There's like 4 Facebook groups for Franklin, Tennessee, and there's thousands of people in there. And I just go in those groups sometimes. Like if I needed enrollments, I would go in those groups and I would start adding value to people. I'm like, who can I help? Who can I help? Yes, I might make the occasional post. I'm like, hey, if anybody's looking for unbelievable, high quality childcare, look no further. We have a great business where, whatever your benefits are, make a post here and there. But the biggest thing with Facebook groups and communities is just start adding value first and ask later. So these things are things that you can do for your short game. And the most powerful one by far is the paid ads, which I'm going to talk about here in just a minute. Now, let's talk about long game. These are things that you should be doing now. And I don't mean all of them, but these are things that you could be doing now to set yourself up for a lot of business later. Number 1, or A, is creating content. We have a comment. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Perfect. Okay. So number 1 is creating content. And a lot of you guys may not think that you're good at, look, creating content is easy. Let me tell you the easiest way to create valuable content. Go and Google other daycare centers that are in other states, or get on Google and go to their websites and look at like resources that they give parents and copy it. Childcare is childcare. Adding value for kids is the same everywhere. Taking care of children is the same all over the country. You don't have to, look, it's better to copy genius than to create mediocrity. This is one of the things that I did right away, because here's the thing. Why is creating content important? You want to position yourself as an authority. If you are an authority, people need you more than you need them. Everybody gravitates toward the authority. It doesn't matter what business it is. If you want to go to the dentist, you want to make sure you're going to a good one. If you want to go to a doctor, don't you want a really good one? If it was Dr. Oz and Dr. Bob, who you've never heard of, naturally, who would you want to go to first if you got sick? Dr. Oz. Why? Because he's the authority. He's the expert. You need to position yourself as an expert. How do you do that? You create content. And there's several ways to do that. I put a few examples here. Number 1, checklists. create a little document. And again, I have checklists. I copied mine from like a website from some daycare in Texas. I literally went on there. I was looking at different websites, and on one website that I went to, because I wanted something valuable to start giving people here in Nashville. So I started looking at daycares in other cities. I found this daycare in Texas. It was like childcare checklist, how to choose the right daycare. I was like, oh, perfect. I clicked it, downloaded it, modified it a little bit, and then boom, I created a checklist and I started giving it to parents. I put it on Facebook, things like that, helpful tips. What's the best thing that you can do to position yourself as an authority? Think of really cool things that would benefit the parents. Like an example I put here, like 10 tips for creating a bedtime routine. A lot of times, guys, you got to remember, childcare is your business. A lot of times the parents, man, they don't have anything figured out. They're just trying to figure out how to be a good parent. They're working all day trying to make a living. Their kids, and I know this from personal experience, they don't know how to get their kids to sleep. They don't know how to get their kids to eat healthy. They don't know how to potty train their kids. Like a lot of the parents that you'll meet, they don't know how to do these things. So if you can create cool little resources that's adding value, people are going to talk about you. Parents are going to talk, and they're like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what Diane showed me. Look, here's a little checklist. And then all of a sudden, word of mouth will start to spread. It's long game, so don't expect it to be overnight. But if you do these things now, it will build your reputation later. 3, helpful articles. And this one is huge. And I'll tell you guys a personal story. And I want you guys to type in the comments here, okay? How many of you guys on here, there's 25 people on here right now. How many of you guys just do some symbol, just put like a thumbs up or just anything? Yes, if you own an in-home daycare, not a center, but an in-home daycare. If you could just go to the comments really quick and just give me a thumbs up or a yes if you have an in-home daycare. I want to see how many of you guys in here are doing in-home daycare. So I'm going to tell you guys a personal story. Now, I own a center. I believe in centers. I love it. It's big. It's great. It's awesome. But I want to tell you guys something awesome. My daughter is 3 years old, and she goes to an in-home daycare. And people ask me all the time, well, like, why doesn't your daughter go to your daycare? Well, she started off in an in-home daycare, and by the time I opened up my center, she was so far ahead. And obviously in my center, all of the age groups are paired, the classes are by age group. And so my daughter was a year and a half ahead of everyone. And we just came to the realization that I can't, like, I don't want to put her in a situation where she's going to regress. And so I decided to leave her in the in-home daycare. And I'll tell you guys something. The in-home daycare that she goes to is the greatest decision I've ever made as a parent in my entire life. Like, it was amazing. And I tell you something, a lot of people don't know that. So if you're running an in-home daycare, you're thinking about it, man, create an awesome checklist. 10 reasons why an in-home daycare is better than a center. This is how you can pull so much business from people. Position yourself as an authority. Guys, Dr. Oz example again. Let me explain something to you. Do you think Dr. Oz is that much smarter than another doctor who's been in business for 30 years? Probably not. Doctors have to be smart. Does Dr. Oz know 100 times more than another surgeon? No. But why does he make 100 times more money? Because he's an expert. He's an authority. You know how he became an authority? He took what he had up here and he started writing it down and sharing it with people, educating people, because so many people, they didn't know anything about medicine or medical or this or that. He started publishing content that positioned him as an expert. Guys, there are a lot of ways that you can publish content, position yourself as an expert, and just watch what happens with word of mouth. The next thing, long game, building a brand. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on building a brand tonight, but just remember, consistency is everything in creating awareness. Whether it's having a booth or, volunteering at local events, just getting your name out there, volunteering at YMCA. I mean, there's so many things that you can do to start building your brand, but the key is consistency. These are things that you do that you don't expect a return today, but understand that what goes around comes around and will always come back tomorrow. I have my short game strategy, the things that I do now to bring in business today. And then I have my long game, things that are building my reputation over time. Next, and the last one is, next one is developing a reputation. That's just doing the right things over time, guys. Doesn't matter if you get a bad review here and there. We all get them. It's going to happen. If you're starting an in-home daycare or childcare, look, you're going to get it back. You cannot please everyone on this planet. Trust me. It doesn't matter. You could kill yourself trying, and you probably will die trying to do it. But developing a reputation is handling things quickly, attacking problems right away, and just doing the right things with integrity over time. Over time, your reputation will overtake your effort. You know, and reputation is such a scary thing because it takes a lifetime to build it and a minute to lose it. But if you do the right things every day, it will pay off big dividends. And lastly is giving value. We already covered that a little bit. Now, this is the most important part of this entire webinar that I'm going to cover with you right now. Look, if you don't pay attention to anything, if you slept through the whole thing, don't sleep through this. If you understand this, what I'm going to share with you in the next 2 to 3 slides, it will change your entire business. This is the secret to marketing any childcare business, big or small, and having a full enrollment guaranteed, is understanding the pipeline. Business is a pipeline, and there's 3 parts to that pipeline. Number 1, the first part of the pipeline is, where are you pulling traffic from? Where are you pulling people from? Okay. The second part of the pipeline is when you pull them using what I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm going to cover each section individually and in detail. But once you number 1 is where are you pulling them from? Next is where are you sending them to? And then number 3 is how you're converting that traffic that you sent somewhere into paying customers. So where do you pull them from? Where do you send them to? And once you send them there, how do you convert them into a customer? And if you get your pipeline right, you'll have a full enrollment. I guarantee it. Look, I guarantee it. I guarantee it because childcare is an in-demand industry. Everybody needs it in every single city. And so many people don't do it right. Like childcare is one of the industries, I'm telling you guys, like restaurants are so different. Like in restaurants, like there's such fierce competition. Like it's crazy. Like your marketing game has to be on point at a restaurant because there's like 1 million of them on every corner. And so everybody has to do their best. They have to spend money. They have to have their marketing game on point. I have never seen an industry like childcare. Childcare is the only industry I've ever seen where like 85% of people do horrible marketing, horrible websites. So if you just even given half an effort and you try and you do some of the things I'm going to talk about, you're going to crush it. You're going to be better off than 95% of people. It doesn't matter what city you're in. I'm telling you, I travel all over the country and I see childcare businesses everywhere. I've spoke on stages at conferences, and every city I've seen, it's the same. 90% of the websites are garbage. They do little to no marketing, and they have no strategy and no systems. And so like, if you're on this webinar right now, I'm telling you guys, what I'm going to share with you is literally going to change the game for you. So let's get right into it. So I'm going to cover the name of the lady that does websites at the end of this. Don't worry. All the resources will be at the end. So you understand 3 sections of your pipeline. Where are you getting traffic? Where are you sending them? And how you convert them over to customers. So let's talk about the first one. Where are you pulling traffic from? Okay. Now, Google is king. If you're taking notes, write that down. Google is king. It does not matter if you are an in-home daycare. It doesn't matter if you're a center. I'm going to talk about, you don't have to always pay for Google. I'm going to share some things that you can do for free, but you need to have your business needs to be verified on Google, first of all, if it's not. But Google is king. If you're going to spend $1 in marketing, you need to spend it on Google. I promise you, that's where you want to spend your money. Why? Because Google is built for people searching. Childcare in most cases is an immediate need, usually. When people move to a new city, when people are about to move, when people get pregnant, they either need childcare right now or they're researching right away. And either one of those, the first place that someone is going to go is Google. I was just at a conference and this guy was giving this marketing spiel and I'm listening to him and he's talking about how daycare should do marketing. And he's talking about, you know, Facebook is one of the best places to spend money. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, are you, and man, this guy's charging daycares like $1,200 a month. Of course, most of them are centers, larger centers, but he's charging daycares $1,200 a month. And that's just to manage their ads. And he's spending a lot of their ad spend on Facebook. And I'm like, dude, that's the stupidest thing ever. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why here in just a minute. Google is king because that's where people are searching, okay? Google is a search engine. And I'm going to show you how to get really good on Google. I'm going to give you some advice today that people pay a lot of money for that's going to help you guys, okay? But just remember, childcare is an immediate need and it's where they will always go to search. So what are the things that you can do right now, in-home business, doesn't matter, that will set you up to be higher in Google? Now, let me tell you something about Google. If you're not in the first 5 choices, you're almost invisible. 80% of people will choose or go and visit the first 5 options. Now, I'm not saying you always have to be in the top 5. Even just moving your ranking up is important. But here are some things that you can do right now to get your business way higher on the search ranking. Because remember, Google is a search engine. What do search engines do? When I type something, the whole purpose of Google is to find the most relevant option, the most relevant answer. When I'm searching anything, Google's whole job is to give me the best answer. And so what are some things that you can do to make your daycare or your in-home daycare the best answer when somebody's searching for childcare? Number 1, you got to make sure your business is verified on Google. If you don't know how to do that, don't worry. At the very end, I have something I'm going to cover very quickly, where one of my partners, David, recorded a whole webinar. It's recorded, already ready. We'll send it to you for free. It will show you how to literally step by step how to get your Google as best it can possibly be for free, without just free stuff, just free things that you can do to make your Google go way up in ranking, okay? But first, you got to make sure your business is verified on Google. If you don't know what that means, that free webinar will show you how to do that. Second, lots of good photos. If it's in a home daycare, man, go crazy. Take photos, best lighting, best angles. When people pull up childcare, Austin, Texas, when they see the options, they click on that. Your Google listing will have photos. You want to have really good photos. People are so visual and they want to see that stuff. Next, as many reviews as possible. Guys, pay your parents a $5 Starbucks gift card. Barter, do something, like offer something in exchange. That's what I do. I offer parents a $5 Starbucks gift card if they'll go and leave me a 5-star review on Google. Why? Because if a lot of reviews are coming in for your business, Google is looking at that. It's like, oh, well, they must be a great business. So we're going to rank them higher on the search engine. Okay, so lots of reviews. Get every parent to leave reviews. You need 10, 20, 30 reviews. Like, have your aunt, your cousin, your sister, whoever, leave you really good, sincere reviews. It'll move you way up. And then the next one is nice description and keywords. You know, your mission statement. When you're verified on Google, you want to, it'll, like, when you do that, there's a process where it'll ask you for, like, you know, keywords and description and things like that. And again, the webinar that David did will show you exactly what to type, what to put. Don't worry. I'll give you the link so that you can go watch that. It's a short and sweet webinar, but it shows you just how to stand out on Google for free, things that you can do right now. Now, why did I say spending money on Facebook is, it's not stupid, but spending money on Facebook is not ideal. And here's why. And here's why I don't understand why childcare businesses even do paid marketing on Facebook. Facebook is not like Google. Google is a search engine. People go there to search for things. Facebook is a pattern interrupt, meaning you're scrolling down your feed and then you see something that catches your attention, and that's when you click on the ad. Most people aren't scrolling down their feed in childcare. This is why if you look at Facebook, all of the ads are to catch your attention really quickly while you're scrolling. So if you're going to spend money, it doesn't make sense to spend money because people aren't going to Facebook to look for childcare or daycare. So don't spend your money there. But here's some of the things that you can do on Facebook. It's great for creating content. You know, if you have a Facebook page for your in-home daycare, start creating those checklists. Start creating those booklets and tips and things like that, and post them in your Facebook group, and people can start sharing those things. And that's a great thing that you can do to start creating word of mouth. Focus on groups and communities. If there's a mom's group in your city, start publishing great content on Facebook. There's a mom's group in your city with 3,000 moms. Man, just get in there and start adding value. Just be like, hey guys, I know a lot of you guys are moms in here. I own a daycare, and so I deal with kids all day. We have some awesome strategies. I just wanted to share some resources with you, just in case you're a new mom and you're not exactly sure how to do this or that or this or that. Here's some cool checklists. Here's some cool resources I put together for you guys. What does that do? These moms in the moms group are like, oh my God, thank God. Thank God Maria posted that, because it helped me so much with the routine or getting them to eat healthy or discipline and things like that. And then who do you think they're going to go to or automatically think of as the authority when they want or need childcare? You. These are things that you can do for Facebook. But if you're going to spend money, you do it on Google. It's the best place to do it. Now, if you are going to spend money on ads, 95% of the time, Google is where you want to spend it. On average, there are 3.5 billion searches per day that happen on Google. Here's 7 things that will hopefully help you understand why Google is the best place. If you're going to spend, no, look, even if you don't have to spend a fortune, guys. My budget for my daycare that generates massive traffic, I get probably 8 to 9 calls per day, which means we get almost 300 calls a month to our daycare looking for enrollment and openings. And I spend about $150 a month on Google, and it took me right to number 1 with keywords. So if you're going to spend money, 95% of the time, Google is where you want to spend it. Number 1, because it's a search engine. It's where think about if you were a parent, where would you go first if you wanted to search for daycare? Google. Every parent relocating or looking for a new daycare will start there first. You better believe it. Next, it's usually the least expensive form of advertising. Yes, my daycare, I'll cover the name of it. It's the Gingerbread House outside of Nashville, Tennessee. It's usually the least expensive form of marketing. You get amazing analytics. So if you spend any money on Google, you get detailed reports every single week. Shows you how many people clicked, how many people asked for directions. When you see a Google listing, it says call directions. Anybody that clicks call, Google tells you who that was, tells you how many people did it. Anybody that clicks directions, Google tells you how many people did it. So Google gives you great analytics so that you know if your money is actually working or not working. There's no contracts with Google. Most daycares don't advertise on Google. Every city that I see, even big cities, typically only 3 to 5 daycares advertise or spend any money on Google, and it's almost always the big ones, the franchises, the KinderCares, the Goddard schools, the academies. Most small daycare centers in-home, they don't spend any money on Google, and that's why they're invisible to anybody outside of word-of-mouth advertising, which you can't always depend on that. You need to have a way to pull traffic. So that's the first part of the pipeline, right? How are you pulling people? The best place to pull people is Google, okay? And it's simple, okay? Now, next thing. So you know where you're pulling your traffic from. Google's the best place to do it. Facebook is also good if you're creating content and things like that and marketing through groups. Now, where are you sending the traffic? Obviously, the best place to send them is your website, okay? And I'm going to cover some simple things here. I want to fly through the rest of this. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. But the website is the next. So if you're spending any money on Google, then obviously when you're pulling traffic from Google, there's only 2 places they're going to go. They're either going to go to your website or they're going to go straight to your business. There's only 2 places they're going to go, right? Website, straight to your business. So for your website, you don't have to spend a fortune on a website. There are just some things that you need that are important because people have very short attention spans. People are very visual. They don't like a lot of words. They don't like reading huge paragraphs. I see some websites for daycares and it's insane, man. It's like these huge, people have a 7-second attention span. So if you're going to have a website, which I recommend, even if you're an in-home daycare, it's good to have a website, not just a Facebook page. Website makes you look professional, makes you look like that you're a real business and you're doing real business, and it makes you look like you know what you're doing and you have your stuff together and it's professional. So for your website, number 1, it's got to be colorful. Guys, it's childcare. Childcare is just colorful. People like to see that when they think of kids, they see colorful. You walk into any Chuck E. Cheese, you walk into any kid's place, party place, it's colors everywhere. They do that for a reason. People are also very visual, lots of good pictures. If you have staff, if you have teachers, look at them. Whoever's the most friendly, put their picture on your website. If you have somebody that has like a mean look on their face that works for you, don't put their picture on the website. You know, pictures are worth 1,000 words. So people are very visual. When people go to websites, they want to see what the inside looks like. So take great photos, and they also want to see what the staff looks like. That's what, as a parent, gives you peace of mind, right? Like if I go to a website and I see friendly staff and I see a facility that looks like it's made for learning, I get a good feeling. As a parent, I'm like, ah, yes, okay, I'll look at them. Next, optimized for SEO. Most of you probably have no idea what that means, but let me tell you something. SEO is very, very, very important, and it's really not that difficult. Let me explain to you. SEO stands for search engine optimization, okay? Now, remember what I said earlier. Google is a search engine. When people search for something, daycares, Dallas, Texas, Google's job is to scrape the whole internet and find the best, most relevant answer to the question that you asked. And so on your website, you want to make sure that the keywords that people might search for on there. So like if I have a website and let's say my daycare was in Dallas, Texas, I would want to make sure that on my website, Dallas, Texas, you know, the best childcare in Dallas, Texas, or, you know, like all the things that people would search for. Because again, the way Google works is they send out all these little robots that scrape the internet, and they're searching for every website in the world that has the keywords that the person just searched for. So if somebody searches for childcare Dallas, Texas, Google's searching the whole world for the most relevant answers to childcare Dallas, Texas. And so if you have those words on your website, it moves you up in the ranking on Google. It's so important. Now, again, these are things that you can do or you can pay somebody to do, but I want you to understand, even if you hire someone, which we'll talk about Nikki here in just a minute, she does it, she does a great job, and she's inexpensive. But if you're going to have somebody do your website, make sure they understand like SEO and basic things like that. Make sure they understand childcare. Because a lot of people hire people to build websites that build them for all kinds of businesses, restaurants and this, and maybe they don't understand childcare. And so they build your website thinking that it's just another business when there's some differences to childcare. You need to build a website that's built for childcare, not from somebody that builds websites for 7,000 different types of businesses and you're just another business. They don't understand childcare and they shouldn't be building your website. Now, next thing on your website, an easy way to book a tour without having to call you. There are really simple plugins. And again, Nikki does all this stuff. If you use her, if you do somebody else, doesn't matter. There's people that do, it's really simple. I pay $15 a month so that when somebody goes to my website, which I'll show you guys actually probably in just a minute, automatically it pops up. It's like, would you like to book a tour? They click a button, schedule it, goes right to my email. They didn't even have to call me. They didn't have to do anything. People like easy, people like simple. And I had this little cheap plugin that I put in there that allows people to book a tour without ever having to get on the phone, because people are driving, they're at work, they don't have time to talk. And so people want to be able to book things without having to pick up the phone and call. Next, testimonials. If you have any great put them on your website. Put them, parent testimonials. Picture of the parent and the testimonial underneath it. Testimonials are one of the most important things in the world for converting people into customers. So important. And then number 6, what makes you better, different, or the only? This is so important right here, guys. So important. A mentor of mine, he's a multi-millionaire. He taught me this. He said, John, it's good to be better. It's great to be different, but it's the best if you're the only. Do you have something at your daycare that you are the only daycare that does it? Something that you can highlight that you're the only person that does it. If you can find, and if you don't have something that makes you the only, that's okay. Being different, being better is also good. But if you have something that's like, if you know your center now, you're the only one that serves organic food, or you're the only one that does this, or you're the only one that does that. Like if you can be the only, it's a huge selling point, okay? Number 7, what thing makes a really good website is the ability to fill out forms online. They can register online. They can fill out all the forms online. Those 7 things make for a really, really, really great website. And again, if you don't know how to do it, I'll share Nikki's information at the end of this. And then obviously, once you're pulling traffic, you send them either to your website or straight to your business. You got to have your tour game on point, guys. Look, in-home daycare center, doesn't matter. Your tour game must be on point. Let's cover that. We're almost done. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on retargeting ads. If you have a center with over 25 kids, you can email me and I'll give you some advice on that. I'm assuming that most people here don't have a center with over 25 kids, or I'd spend some time here. If you do, I'm happy to have a conversation with you or send you some resources on retargeting. Now, how are you converting that traffic into customers? Okay, that's the third part of the pipeline. You know where you're pulling them from. You know where you're sending them, website or your business. Now, how are you converting them? You've got to master the tour. And we're running out of time. I want to cover this. Now, this webinar is recorded, by the way, so I'll send it to you. You don't have to have all of these things, but these are some things that will really, really, really help you when somebody comes in to tour your business to convert them. Like, so if you're giving tours and you're not getting a lot of people become customers, if you're not over 50% at least, you need to pay attention to this because it's so important. If you're not closing 50% of the people that come into your business into customers, you can improve. I'm telling you, the best businesses can operate on 80%. We have about an 80 to 90% conversion rate at our center when they come in for a tour. And so these are some things that are important. Send an e-packet beforehand. The next slide covers what's in an e-packet. Email them an e-packet, gives them all the information. I'll cover that in just a minute. Proper confirmation calls. If they're coming in for a tour tomorrow at 8 o'clock, just make sure you confirm them the night before. Just like, hey, I just want to let you know I have you down for a tour tomorrow at 8 a.m. Looking forward to meeting you. I can't wait to introduce you to blah, 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 and show you the classroom. Confirmation. Appeal to the 5 senses. When they walk in, does it smell good? Senses are, sight, sound, touch, taste, like the 5 senses. Is the place clean? Does it visually look appealing? Do you have something smells good? Incense, things like that. Is it super, do you have pleasant music for the ears? Like, is it really good music that is appealing? Like we play Christian music and it's soft, or classical music. We want soft. I make sure there's incense in our center. Make sure it smells so good. Right when they walk in, it smells great. I make sure everything is clean. We have a really clean center. Why? Because I need to appeal to all the senses. Next, ask great questions to find their need and desire. Everybody looking for childcare is looking for different things. You need to get good at asking questions. What exactly you're looking for? What's most important to you when you're looking for a childcare for your daughter here? What do you value most? Because if you can get the answer, it's so much easier to turn them into a customer. Law of reciprocation. Give something, people feel obligated to give back. When you smile at someone, most people will smile back. It's the law of reciprocation. What you give, you tend to get. So what I usually do is I give a goodie bag to everybody that comes in for a tour. I don't put a lot in there. I put a couple pieces of candy, an ink pen that has our business name on there, a nice little ink pen, and a little notepad that has our business information on the front of it. I give them a little goodie bag, makes them feel special. And law of reciprocation, because I gave them something, a lot of times they turn into customers. Position yourself as an authority. We talked about that. What makes you better, different, or the only. You must learn how to close. Guys, listen, I can't cover that on this webinar, but I tell you, one of the number one reasons that people don't get business is they don't ask for it. They don't ask for it. You have got to close. You have to close. If they're in there, they drove all the way out to your business to look at it. Do not be afraid to close. The way that I do it personally is I use fear of loss. I'm like, listen, Diane, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed the tour. And I just want to let you know that if you're looking to enroll, my advice would be to do it today, because we have a lot of people calling. I have a lot of tours scheduled. I can't guarantee that we'll have a spot open tomorrow or next week or next month. And so my advice is, if you enjoyed yourself, you believe in what we're doing, enroll, put your deposit down today, because today I have a spot. Tomorrow I might not have a spot. Do you want to go ahead and enroll? Ask for the enrollment. Ask for the enrollment. I can't tell you how important that is, to just ask for the enrollment. So many people don't ask. You spend all this money, all this energy, all this effort, And then you do the tour and you're like, well, I hope you enjoyed it. If you love us, give us a call. No, ask for the business. So many people don't do that. You have to do that, okay? Have a good follow-up system in place. Track your numbers and your percentages. How many calls are you getting? How many tours are you giving? How many people from your tours are actually enrolling? These are super, super, super important. Yeah, see, yeah, so true. I'm like, guys, I'm telling you, most people are. 80% of people don't close. They'll do a tour. You put all this energy and effort and you don't ask. I'm telling you guys, people are looking to make a decision. You just need to ask them. It's closing 101. If you get nothing from this webinar, just closing will literally increase your percentages like crazy. Things to put in an e-packet. I'm going to fly through this. Please take a picture of this. This webinar is recorded, by the way. But these are great things to send in an e-packet and email the day before your tour. Story from the owner, letter from the director, a bio on one or two of the teachers, unique benefits, written parent testimonials, your rates, parent articles, tips for choosing the right daycare, child care checklist, any publicity you've received, and anything else you think will add value. You don't need all 11 of these, by the way. Pick 3, 4, and send them. I'm telling you, this will help you. This is all part of your long game and your short game, but these are some things to put in an e-packet. Now, we're done. I know I flew through the rest of this, but the last thing I want to share with you before wrap up is just remember, guys, it's a pipeline. Where are you pulling traffic from? Where are you sending them? And how are you converting them once they get there? If you can understand that, just the philosophy behind that, it will change your entire business. And I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this, most people I talk to have a few things they can polish up on all parts of the pipeline, whether it's paying for some ads, their website, their tours. Everybody can polish some things up. Now, obviously, I don't have anything because I'm just a daycare owner myself. I just have a marketing background. So I'm like not offering anything, but Nikki is a really good friend of mine. And I do want to make you guys aware of her because she's awesome. She is my go-to for anyone that needs a website and doesn't want to pay an arm and a leg for it. And because she has so much experience in daycare, she builds them just for daycares and she's absolutely crushing it. She does great work. They're beautiful. They're built just for childcare. They're SEO optimized, everything that I covered earlier in the webinar she does. And so if you're interested in a website, definitely get with Nikki. I'll put her information here in a minute. Now, earlier I talked about Google. If you want to know how to get your business, like all those things I talked about on Google, like registered, like how to get it verified, how to make sure that you have good photos, reviews, how to write the proper keywords. Before I did this webinar, I made sure I had David record a video, step-by-step tutorial on exactly, it'll walk you through it on how you can go to google.com/business and make sure that your business is set up to do the best free marketing you possibly can to make sure it's optimized on Google. And so if you want that free webinar, that he just go to classroompanda.com/webinar. If you go there, you put in your email, David will send you that webinar and he'll send you a recording of this webinar as well. So if you want that, they're both free. Just go to classroompanda.com/webinar. He'll send you that webinar and he'll send you this webinar that we're recording for free. If you also go to classroompanda.com/webinar, you'll see where you can connect with David and Nikki. David and Nikki are husband and wife, by the way, but you'll see where you can connect with them and you can get a website if you want one or talk about pricing or whatever. That's all with them. Or you can email David at info@classroompanda.com. Let me put that here, info@classroompanda.com. This is an email. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, it's all there. David just put it in there. Guys, I hope some of this helped you. I love the childcare industry. It's the greatest business that I've ever owned. I really believe we make the biggest difference for children. But, the thing that kills me and the reason I do what I do is because there's nothing like getting burnt out on a business that you care about because you're not able to make enough money from it. That's the worst thing in the world, guys. When you have a business and you care about kids and you know you're making a difference, but you're just not able to pay all your bills and have enough money, you know, for the things that you guys deal with on a day-to-day basis, you need to make enough money to be able to have abundance in your life. And I just wanted to share some strategies with you that can help you. If you're going to spend money on Google, if you're in-home daycare, guys, it's not a lot, you know, 80, 90 bucks a month, and you'll rank on Google. I mean, it's not hard to do, guys. But I hope this webinar helped. I want to thank you guys all for being on here. I'm going to hang on for another couple of minutes and just do any Q&A. If you guys have some questions, go ahead and put them in here, and I will answer them for about the next 5 minutes. My wife and kids are about to be home, so come on and post them, and we'll wrap up. And if you don't have any questions, I'll wrap up in the next 30 to 60 seconds. So definitely, if you have any questions or anything, just remember your pipeline, guys. The pipeline is everything. Instagram ads, nope. It's also a pattern interrupt, guys. Instagram is also a pattern interrupt. It's not, nobody goes to Instagram to search for childcare. Google is the search engine. You can spend money on Instagram, but you'd be wasting money, and it's not how to maximize your budget, especially if you don't have a big marketing budget. Instagram's a waste of money. Tips on how to close without being too pushy. Yes, fear of loss. Guys, fear of loss is the best way to close without being pushy. The best way to close. Like, I don't like being pushy either. Now, I want you to remember this. Remember this. Sales and closing does not mean being, if you're pushy, you are not closing properly. You should never, ever, ever be pushy when you're closing. All I do is I pull them. So I want to explain something really quickly to you guys. You push people or you pull them. Push is closing hard, aggressive, it being annoying. Nobody likes that feeling. Used car salesman. Pulling is very different. It's giving them permission to make a decision. Now, there's two things that move people to action: pleasure, pain. What do I get if I do it? What do I miss out on if I don't do it? So think, how can you fear of loss somebody into making a decision right there? Easy. Offer some kind of promotion if they enroll today. Waived application fee, something. Just like, what can you offer that will force them to make a decision right now without you having to be aggressive? You know, I always tell people, I'm like, look, listen, thank you so much for touring. I hope you really enjoyed it. I just want to let you know that, you know, if you're looking to enroll, my advice would be to do it as soon as possible. We have a lot of calls coming in. I can't promise that we'll have an opening tomorrow, but we have one today. Do you want to go ahead and enroll and put your deposit down now? Just wait, just be quiet. Or something like a promotion, right? Like, hey, listen, you know, we have a special promotion going on for anybody that enrolls right after a tour. We waive the application fee, which is normally $100 or something, right? Like, just offer some kind of promotion that forces people into taking action. That's how I close. All I do is close that way. I don't push people. I'm not aggressive. I'm just not that kind of person. But I know that if I don't at least offer something that will get them to make a decision, I'll lose out on that business, or they'll go somewhere else. So I always want to at least get them to make a decision right away, yes or no. I don't force it. I'm not pushy, but I give them one-time offer and see how that plays out. So, okay. So yes, Dee's absolutely correct. All right. Well, guys, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Hope this helped you guys some. You guys are, 24-hour offer. That's also great. It's fear of loss. Anything that you can do for fear of loss is great for closing without being pushy. I promise you guys. Like, all of those things are valuable. Just think of something. Are you posting your website? Well, the website is classroompanda.com/webinar. That is where you just put your email in and you'll get the 2 free webinars and then everything. I mentioned retargeting for centers. Oh, okay. Yes. Email David at the same website, info@classroompanda.com. If you email him, I will personally either send you a video or have a conversation with you on how to retarget for centers over 25. It's the smartest thing that you could ever do. Retargeting is the best advertising on the planet. So definitely. Christy, make sure you email David at info@classroompanda.com and we'll schedule a conversation and I'll explain exactly what retargeting is and exactly how to do it. It's a game changer for any center over 25 people. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. I hope all of you have a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in for an hour on this beautiful Sunday. Y'all enjoy your week.